Now, Philip Thompson is a member of the ADF, former member of the ADF, a proud member of the ADF who had plenty of work to do in the Middle East that is along the lines of what Israel is about to do here, which is to try to find, for want of a better word, a target in a building full potentially of civilians. He joins us now to talk about tactically how do you do this. Now, Philip, again, you're not going to tell me all the ways this is done, and for obvious reasons there are things that are only known inside the military. But again, for Australians sitting back watching here, wanting to know that the people responsible for the death of the past couple of years are held to a couple of days of maximum account, that hostages can be freed, but obviously the innocent people who are not part of Hamas, who are in Gaza, do not lose their life at all. How do you work out whether you go into a building or you flatten a building?
Paul, I think it's quite complicated, as we've heard from that reporter. The terrorist group Hamas, it's not their first time they've created such terror on the Israeli people, and they won't. It's not like the movies where they'll have all the hostages sitting in the corner of a room, and the Israeli military will now know that and then walk through and clear the building. They'll be scattered throughout Gaza, they'll be underground, there'll be small groups in little areas, and that's why you'll see some kind of consideration from the Israeli military and their special forces getting an appreciation of the land on what they need to do. They will have eyes and ears everywhere. We know that they do, and they'll be looking very closely on how they execute this mission with minimal if not no, civilian casualties, and prosecute the target, which is the Hamas terrorists, and get their people back.
Is one of the realities that this process, to be done as cleanly as possible, can't be done quickly? Because I know there's an amassing of 100,000 troops that are at the Israeli border right now. I understand the emotional want for people, for things to happen in the next couple of days. Do you think that's in part why Netanyahu said that this was going to be a long war, where you have to take your time to work out what you are going to be targeting, as opposed to using the global condemnation to act too swiftly and therefore, again, killing even more innocent people like those that we've seen over the past few days?
Well, I think that Israel's number one concern is getting its people home, and to do that safely and to make sure that they're not being put in extra danger that they're already in right now, is to make sure that you're hitting targets and going through neutralising the threat, which is the terrorists, and getting your people back, because you can't just walk around flattening buildings when your people could be in there. And the Israelis know that. That's why they'll be doing a ground appreciation at the moment. But they will have their military set up. They will be ready to go, because if conflict is needed and a ground pursuit into Gaza is something that they deem as necessary, they'll do it. Because what we've seen from this terrorist group is disgraceful, disgusting, should be condemned by everyone, and Absolutely. Israel has the absolute right to defend itself and its people.
I know that this brings up a lot of very difficult feelings and a lot of experiences that you've seen in your own service. Take us inside the body and the mind and the soul of a soldier that has to go into a place like this, where you are trying to find this delicate balance. I know it's part of the training, but the surge of adrenaline, the fear inside yourself, because again, while you're trying to protect your life, save another life, you also don't want to take an innocent life. Tell me what it's like, what it's going to be like for those Israeli soldiers.
There'll be lots of adrenaline, and they need to use that adrenaline to see clarity on their mission. And their mission is to get their people back from the lowest level soldier all the way up to the general sitting back, looking at doing an appreciation. I know, being one of those soldiers before, that you sit there and you're anxious to get in, you're anxious to fight, you're anxious to bring your people home, but you must do it in a way where there is no civilian casualties, and your hostages, your people, your blood are going to be rescued and safe. I know that what they'll be feeling now, and they'll be sitting at the borders or chomping at the bit to go get their people, but things need to be done in an appreciation, in a way that that they go in and hit the right targets at the right time to rescue people. But they'll be sitting there talking to their families, to their mates that are on the front line with them. And I can tell you now, I feel sick in my stomach and butterflies there, because I can just imagine what they're looking at, because I haven't seen the scale of destruction that they've just witnessed over the last couple of days.
Well, this is it, and this is why, again, before the conversation, trying to talk about all of the broken hearts, all of the adrenaline, all of the emotion that's around in that area, let alone what it triggers in people like yourself and what you've had to do in service of our nation, of which we are forever thankful. Last one I want to ask you, and you may choose to play a straight bat and not respond, but I just did want to get your view, because no doubt you heard what I said in the first few minutes of the show. What do you think about this protest that the New South Wales Police allowed to get anywhere near the Sydney Opera House? Again, people in a free country have every right to protest, but when the Jewish community of Sydney was being told don't go near the Opera House, which is being lit up as a monument to what's happened in the past couple of days, that's a major problem that's happening in Sydney right now, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I believe in the freedom of speech, freedom of thought, but having the chance of pro-Hamas, which is a designated terrorist organisation, I'd hope that the AFP and police are looking at certain organisers to see if they are instilling riot. But I agree with you. Not everyone that's in Palestine is a member of Hamas.
Correct.
Not everyone that is wants to protest supports them. However, we've just seen mass murder, several hundred people killed, Israeli people killed at music festivals, women and children and babies taken as hostages. I think it's pretty disgraceful to see pro-Hamas supporters rallying, and I don't think it should have happened.
I agree completely. Again, thank you for your service. Thank you for the insight, mate. I know it's desperately complicated, and thank you very much for the chat.
Thank you.
Philip Thompson, he's part of the Shadow Ministry in the defence area, but also, of course, a man who has served his country.